Oh boy, have we got a show for you tonight. On tonight's show, Wall Street gets screwed over by its own game, and I couldn't be happier to watch this whole thing unfold. I've been sitting back, not wanting to comment on it because I wanted to see this drama playing out more and more. And now, after a good 72 hours, it's delicious. You are going to love to watch these billionaires who've just gotten screwed over by the little guy. We're going to take you inside what has happened to GameStop on Reddit tonight. It is an astonishing story of the populist uprising of the stock market saying, screw you, to these hedge fund managers. So we will talk about that tonight. You can see I'm elated about it because finally it's like a David and Goliath story. And David gets a rock in the face right to Goliath tonight. The Federal Reserve also talking just a short time ago. We're going to listen to Fed Chief Jerome Powell, his take on the stimulus, the demand and need for further stimulus, and why he thinks the economy is in trouble. So I hope Republicans are paying attention, and his broader outlook for the economy, where they're going to keep interest rates, all of that and more. We're going to hear from Jerome Powell. We'll give you the latest on the Fed's meeting this afternoon, taking questions from reporters, etc. Also tonight, a major UFO sighting. As a UFO sighting over North Carolina has people freaking out all over social media. We're going to show you the pictures of this UFO sighting. This, of course, comes on the heels of what the CIA has to release. They have to release all of these UFO documents and disclosures within 180 days. That was a part of the last coronavirus relief package. Now that we know that a number of members of the military and members of Congress have come forward demanding that this happens, we've had members of the Department of Justice and others and the Department of Defense who've come forward on the record to say that this secret UFO program has been going on within the government. What do we know? We're getting some more info on that. But tonight, we got some pictures to show you out of North Carolina with a pretty awesome sighting. And we just got breaking news now, just literally moments ago, that the Dow Jones has dropped more than 600 points. It's had its worst day since October, and the S&P 500 has gone red for the year so far. Not good news on Wall Street. Wall Street's not happy today. And, I guess, when President Trump says, that Wall Street's doing fantastic, we should all look to Wall Street because that's a real indicator of how you're doing at home. Do you guys, let me just ask you in the chat right now, we're live. Let me know. Do you have any connection to Wall Street? Do you think like on a day when you see CNBC or Fox Business or these other channels showing you how well Wall Street is doing, is there any real connection to you? Like, do you feel around your dinner table that your life is somehow incredibly improved in any capacity because oil prices are up, the stock futures are doing well in Asian markets, and overall stock market is doing better? Does that have a direct correlation to you as an average American? Tell me, I'd love to hear it. None. I'm seeing right now, none. Nope, not at all, not at all, not at all. I never watch it. Nope. Literally flying by. Hell nah. Raymond Rangel says, hell no. Darlene Addick says, no connection to me. Nope, not real. Nope. Andrew Francais says, I live in New York City. That's my only connection. Nope. All the way down. Just your 401k, Ryan says. And even that's tangentially artificial to begin with because, you get such a short selection of stocks in your 401k to begin with. And very often it's controlled by what your company allows you to pick and all of these hidden fees that are inside that 401k, right? So not really, right? Not really connected to how Wall Street really does. Let's be honest. Nope. Let's see. Slow Roll says, screw Wall Street. Tammy Diaz says, LOL, no way. Marvel Santiago, nope. Nada. Wall Street is fake news, Amber says. Okay. Hell no. Becky says, yeah, keep them coming. I want to hear. Simone says, my 401k is always fluctuating. Yeah. Sandy Wheeler says, usually that means the everyday person is worse off. Clayton on the comms. Brian Bang, good to see you. So anyway, today, over the past 72 hours or so, something crazy has been happening. And I've been watching it slowly unfold and wanted to see how this was going to play out in the mainstream media. Because I got a sense that this was going to start to show up in a big way within perhaps even the Biden administration. We were going to see more of it being talked about on CNBC, Fox Business, and the mainstream media players. And sure enough, What do you know this afternoon? So I want to start off tonight with an amazing story. By the way, yes, Grover is here. He's ready. He's all buckled in. He's ready for this story. He's chewing on something I gave him. I don't know. Or it's a stick. I don't know. But he's ready to hear about how the little guy gets to beat the big guy on Wall Street today. You guys ready in the chat? You guys ready in the chat? Let me know. Let me know. Give me a thumbs up. Give me a like if you guys want to hear this story. I'm going to break it down for you. I've got a lot of different elements to get to on this story, but it is so good and so juicy. And we'll see how this plays out. So I want to start with this amazing story of the rich getting screwed by the little guy. I love this freaking story. I also love, by the way, how the mainstream media has been covering it over the past 24 hours, trying to protect the billionaires, as if they're the ones that need protecting after they rape and pillage the rest of us, the entire country, on a regular basis. Look, I do not often take enjoyment from the misfortune of others. You know me, right? Unless it's the misfortune of those who routinely prey on you, the average American. I don't take enjoyment from the misfortune of others unless it's the misfortune of those who manipulate the media and politicians for their massive wealth gains. I can't stand it. It makes me sick to my stomach. And those people tonight, at the top of that heap are the short sellers on Wall Street. Now, these are the type of guys who get together over a cigar and a whiskey in lower Manhattan. Even though they're not allowed to smoke, they still get away with it. They go to a cigar bar, you know. Where's your wife? Who knows? Get me that 60-year-old scotch. And they collude with each other on how they can drive down stock prices in order to watch a company go out of business. So they can basically make billions of dollars. They can watch companies be driven into the ground gleefully, and they make off like a bandit. So it was today, and over the past 48 hours, that a group of billionaires on Wall Street suddenly found themselves with their pants down in the middle of Times Square, wondering how they got screwed over standing next to the naked cowboy in Midtown Manhattan. I'm being facetious. Maybe the naked cowboy's involved in this somehow, I don't know. But the story starts with GameStop. You know, the place that you would go to not buy video games, but to sell off your old games. Seriously, the only thing that I ever did at a GameStop was sell my old PlayStation and Nintendo games. Like, I often wondered, like, how the hell does this place make money? All I ever do here, I mean, I don't know. All I ever did was bring in my old games and sell them and get money. They would hand me cash for my old PlayStation games. I'm like, okay. And I guess they would turn around and sell them on eBay or put them up on their, put them back in their cabinet, clean them up and whatever. Okay. Seems like a good business model. Of course, they would sell new games also. Don't get me wrong. But in the new days of like downloading these types of games, who's buying a digital disc anymore? Well, neither did Wall Street. Wall Street short sellers had the same idea, and they decided to buy up 84% of all of the company's stock in the hopes that it would teeter on collapse and they would make a ton of money. Now, these are the same kinds of short sellers, of course, that made off like bandits during the housing crisis, remember? Heck, all you need to do is watch the movie The Big Short to understand what this means, right? They were betting that you would lose your home. These are like these Wall Street vultures. So I remember all of this happening back in the spring. I remember as we were writing the newsletter, we think we even covered it in our newsletter at the time about the predictions of GameStop going out of business. All of these mainstream media companies were starting to cover it. We really didn't know what was happening at the time. Well, what was happening at the time, and I remember all of the news coverage, they were doing interviews about it. Oh, GameStop is going down the toilet. They were interviewing these short sale holders all over mainstream media. GameStop is dead. Well, where do you think that coverage came from? I'll tell you where it came from, because I worked in the mainstream media. Here's where it came from. Somebody who worked for that hedge fund just called up their old friend over at CNBC or Fox Business or whatever and said, hey, the CEO of this hedge fund would love to come and talk about why they think GameStop's going to be a terrible stock decision. It's going out of business. Yeah, we'll put him on the air. We're friends with him. Bring him on. Can he do the 7 a.m. time slot? Great. Lazy producers. That's how they get on TV. So they're now, all of these guys are on TV talking about GameStop being terrible and how AMC movie theaters, boy, no one's going to the movies anymore. These things are going out of business. These things are collapsing. And you would see these guys, these hedge fund managers, these guys that have all these short sale positions in these companies all over television talking about how bad they are. It's all one big corporate muck. They all get together. For years, short sellers have colluded amongst themselves, using the media to manipulate these markets. Well, then something interesting happened on Reddit. Now, Sagar Injeti over at The Rising Show did an amazing job of describing what these Redditors did. So I'm going to let him explain it because he did such a fantastic job of explaining it. No need for me to try to sully it up. Here's Sagar explaining what Reddit did to Wall Street.
But then a merry band of people on Reddit, they took notice on a subreddit. It's called Wall Street Bets. It has 2.2 million traders. And they said, you know what? Hold on a second. A user in April 2020 took notice that 84% of all GameStop stock at the time was held in short, a massive bet for no discernible reason. That Reddit user implored others to buy the stock and to instruct their own brokers not to allow their shares to be lent towards short positions of short sellers. This alone caused the stock to soar by nearly 50% in a single day, which, as Bloomberg notes, was the biggest gain in 18 years of the company history. But this is where things get really crazy. Slowly, other Redditors began to realize that by banding together, they could do two things. First, that their power in numbers combined with the power of trading platforms like Robinhood could enable them to act together, and two, that by pushing the stock up collectively, they could make more money and screw over major heavy hitters on Wall Street. To be clear, this is all speculative and gambling, and it's bad. But a lot of people are going to lose a lot of money. But if this entire thing is a scheme, and it's all made up anyways, then why shouldn't the little guys make some of the money instead of the titans? And that's what's happened here.
Exactly. That's what's happened here. So these guys on Reddit managed to start to make a ton of money. They saw these 84% of GameStop's stock was being held by short sale positions. So they said, wait a sec. What if we get together and start to buy this stock? What if we start to support this company? This seems like a heck of a price for a company that has all these retail positions, that sells video games. We're in a pandemic. We're on Reddit. What if we all got together? What if we all got together and just started to buy some of these stocks? Well, then Wall Street started to panic. So over the past number of months, that's exactly what these Redditors did. They started buying these stocks. And you would not be able to sell your stock to one of these short sale position people on Wall Street. So what did that mean? That means now that the stock kept going up and up and up and up. It was at $20 a share at one point. Yesterday, or earlier today, it hit $337 per share. Driven by Reddit. Driven by people who have Webull accounts, Robinhood accounts, who are individual buyers who literally have, maybe a few $100s to their name, got together and basically give a big FU to Wall Street and these short sellers. Now, you may ask yourself, well, how does that screw them out? Well, here's what happened. So now these Wall Street hedge fund owners have to cover these positions. They had to inject billions of dollars of their own money to cover the fact that these things were not short anymore, that these stocks had in fact improved well beyond what they had thought they would. And now they had to inject billions of their own money into Wall Street to cover these losses. And the best part is that those Redditors were not going to sell those positions to these hedge fund owners. Brilliant. Now, this isn't the only stock they did it with, by the way. They did it with AMC, movie theater chain. But I love how the mainstream media, so AMC stock, of course, did the same thing. Right now, as of this hour, AMC stock is skyrocketing. I think it's up over 1,000, if I'm not mistaken, just a short time ago, if I look at the stock. No, it's up 240% right now. AMC. They're doing the same thing with AMC stock. So all of these short sellers on Wall Street, which is a totally manipulated, these people should be looked at by the SEC. These are the people that are screwing over American businesses, preying on these people. And by the way, how are you able to as a short seller, short a stock 136%. Can someone explain this to me in the chat? They were shorting these stocks 136%. So 36% more than the stock? Does that make any sense to anybody? We're going to short the stock 36% more than 100%, more than it's even worth? How does that work? You want to talk about corrupt? So all of the mainstream media coverage this afternoon has been hilarious to watch. So look at this, Street Insider, CNBC's David Faber said he's hearing a number of hedge funds are in similar trouble that Melvin Capital saw in its GameStop and may need to be bailed out. Oh, they're reaching out to the government now to get help. They're reaching out to the government to seek help, to be bailed out. Should we help them? Should we help these hedge fund managers who are preying on these companies collapsing? See, the thing is, what these Redditors did is they played the free market game. They played the game. They got together, but just Wall Street didn't like the outcome. Because Wall Street's supposed to be the only hegemony that can run the table. They're supposed to be the only ones that have total control of this process. They're the ones that are only supposed to be able to screw the other people. But it's amazing when the shoe moves to the other foot. So they want to be bailed out. And so one of them, Melvin Capital, the CEO of Melvin Capital, it's hilarious today. He's got a $55 million house in Palm Beach. And there's a discussion right now on Reddit that if this guy who owns this GameStop stock on Reddit says if he makes $100 million, he wants to purchase Melvin's $44 million Miami home and turn it into a GameStop. He wants to buy this hedge fund owner's home in Miami and turn it into a GameStop, which would just be amazing. I would go to that GameStop. I would fly there just to sell my old PlayStation games. It gets better. So just watch how you ever wonder, this is what this channel is all about. I cover these progressive issues, but I also cover mainstream media lies and mendacity and just watching how these people are in the pockets of Wall Street. So what do you think the coverage was like this afternoon on mainstream media? If I had to ask you, do you think that the mainstream media was being fair to these Redditors, was being fair to these retailer traders who maybe only had a few $100s to their pocket that wanted to, play the market a little bit, gamble, so to speak, because that's all stock market investing is in the first place. It's gambling. I'm not a fan of it. You're investing in paper assets. It's all gambling. So when a Redditor has $500 to his or her name and wants to invest in a company and sees other friends are buying up GameStop, sure, I'll get in on that. How do you think the mainstream media, do you think it came down in support of those people, or do you think it came down in support of Wall Street? I'll ask you in the chat. Drop me a comment. Here's where it came down, of course. Here's the front page, the Drudge this afternoon. Reddit mob royals stock market was the headline, which I was really surprised by this headline. Reddit mob royals stock market, to which I tweeted, mob? If you look that up in the dictionary, a mob is a large crowd of people, especially one that is disorderly and intent on causing trouble or violence. That's a mob. These hedge funds shorted 136%, I wrote. How do you short 36% more than the stock is worth? The mob called your bluff. Here's, if you don't believe me, here's what a mob is. The second definition is it's the mafia or a criminal organization. They're a mob. This is how the mainstream media covers it. Here's also, they're a mob. Are they really a mob?
Come on, man.
I know, Joe. That's what they're calling them. But what about you, Joe? What about the Biden administration? When asked about that tonight, Treasury spokesperson said the agency does not have a comment right now on GameStop. We don't know. To which someone says, I can't wait to hear from a 7-year-old at the Treasury Department explain what is happening to the hedge funds by democratization of equity trading and smart algorithm exposing the emperor has no clothes. That's right. I'd love to hear the Treasury Department explain what just happened. I'd fall asleep. Here's how Kyle Kulinski says it over at Secular Talk. When you short a stock, there's an infinite risk. Idiot billionaire hedge funders on Wall Street shorted GameStop and other companies, and it was a bad bet because people on Reddit decided to buy it in bulk. You wanted a free market. Well, you got it. Own your losses. But no, Kyle. No, Kyle Kulinski. They can't own their own losses because now they need to be bailed out. He's hearing a number of these hedge funds are in similar trouble that Melvin Capital saw, and they may need to be bailed out by us, the taxpayers. Like I couldn't even write this if I wanted to. Preposterous, Kyle says. People on Reddit are quite literally analyzing the dumb bets of billionaires on Wall Street and responding to it rationally. The crooks are the hedge funds. And look at this. Just in, NASDAQ threatens to halt stocks over social media chatters. And that's exactly what happened. So there was a pause in trading of this stock earlier this afternoon because of the social media. So they were concerned that a bunch of retail investors bought this stock. They paused trading. The NASDAQ stopped the trading to protect these billionaires. So here was the mainstream media, how it played out today. Just watch the ridiculousness of how they talk about this. This was on CNBC. Watch the corporate media play this. This is hilarious to watch how they respond to this. And like, we need to have more regulation. We need to protect these billionaires. We need to make sure that this doesn't happen again.
Calling for a 30-day cooling off period for some of these names. Secretary Galvin, so go into why you believe that we need to maybe just put a hold on GameStop and some others.
Well, first of all, it's a great risk to many of the unsophisticated investors who are investing in it, whatever their basis is. I've talked to some of these people.
Oh, okay, I see. So these people are these people are unsophisticated. Oh, that's what it is. So they're in a group on Reddit that watches stock movements of these hedge funds. They're seeing that these people are shorting companies 136%. That's unsophisticated. That's more sophisticated than I am. I don't touch the stock market in that way at all. These guys are far more sophisticated than you and me. I'm willing to bet. Hey, let me know in the chat. Are you as sophisticated as these guys hanging out in Reddit who actually are monitoring what these hedge funds are doing and think of an opportunity here that this stock is really artificially lower than it should be, and we're going to buy this stock on the hopes that it will go up? That's unsophisticated. That's what this guy says, and we need to cool off for 30 days, pause these stocks being sold for 30 days.
I think we've all recognized that the current pandemic has created a unique situation where many people have gotten into day trading who really have no idea exactly what they're doing.
So they're stupid. Okay. Just to be clear, this guy who started this on Reddit in April put $50,000 of his own money into this. Okay. He now has a stake of $22 million. He's turned $50,000 into $22 million on the backs of these idiot hedge fund managers.
Something that they're trying to figure their way as they go. These types of entities, such as GameStop, have created a really difficult situation for these people. They think they're missing out if they don't make a bet on them. They don't really understand what they're doing. I think small-time investors like that, unsophisticated investors, are going to be hurt by this.
Okay. Yeah, they're really hurt. He turned $50,000 into $22 million. So we need to stop that. Oh, really? You mean you don't need to stop it so you can protect these billionaires who are literally losing billions, and they're calling you right now. They're like, we got to put a stop to this. We need the SEC to investigate this. We've got to get some more regulations into it. This is how the mainstream media is playing this. Then they even had the balls to have the CEO of the NASDAQ on Squawk Box this morning. And she had the gall to say that we need additional regulation for situations like this. We need additional regulations for situations like this? Really?
I think that in general, when we evaluate how we would manage through a situation where you see a significant run up in a stock that's not based on news, that's not based on fundamentals.
Oh, it's not based on fundamentals. It's not based on news. Okay, so this stock went up. What is it based on? It's based on all of these billionaire, brilliant hedge fund guys short selling a company. It is based on the fundamentals. They're looking at this, watching these guys collude going on national television, driving the stock further and further down. And they're saying, wait a second, we're not playing their game. We're going to invest in this company. It is based on fundamentals.
What we do is we do have technology that evaluates social media chatter. And if we see a significant rise in the chatter on social media channels, and then we also match that up against unusual trading activity, we will potentially halt that stock to allow ourselves to investigate the situation, to be able to engage with the company, and to give investors a chance to recalibrate their positions. And then if we do think or contemplate that there may be some manipulation, we then engage with FINRA and the SEC to evaluate and investigate that.
Oh, okay. So, yeah, you got to get SEC involved in this. So why don't you start going after, tea time mom groups on Facebook that like to get together and have tea and trade stocks? Because those exist. So you're monitoring the social media chatter. Let me ask you this. Are you monitoring also the collusion of these hedge fund guys when they go on CNBC and others to artificially drive down stock prices, telling the world how GameStop is about to collapse so that they can make money by short selling? Are you monitoring that as well? These kinds of people should be banned from going on these television stations, by the way. Because when they go on these stations, stock goes down. They spin their narratives and it moves like this, and they make tons of money. It's the brilliance of going on these shows. They know exactly what they're doing. They know exactly what they're doing. I love this take on it, though. I love the cockiness of asking this question. Listen to the way that this guy on CNBC, who, by the way, he just can never spit out a question. He can never spit out an answer. He just likes to hear himself talk for 20 minutes. But he is so smug in how he describes this stock. He basically says that, because it's only 3 letters, AMC, that's why these poor saps on Reddit ended up investing in it. Because they're too stupid. And so, they heard that it was AMC, so that's why they invested.
Market themes this week have been earnings. And the push-pull between short sellers and retail investors. We've especially seen that in the shares of GameStop.
It's GameStop, by the way, not GameStop.
You can see they're now up about 77 points, but up from, if you don't have to go back very far to see it, single digits. AMC is also making a big move this morning. And then AMCX, which is AMC Networks. I think it sounds like AMC. There's some other news out as well, but that's making a big move as well. I don't know, because it's got those 3 letters in the name, maybe? They did a bond offering. Joining us now, Greg Branch, managing partner at Veritas Financial, and Ryan Dietrich, chief market strategist at LPL Financial. And Greg, I don't know if you've been watching the show or just watching the saga that is GME and some of the others. What are your, just off the top of your head, what are your comments about this? And does it portend anything for the overall market?
Right. So I think we have to separate 2 things. And so one of the things that we had a healthy debate about back in July was whether or not the announcement on vaccines would provide a catalyst for the market. And we saw that it did, where money rushed to things that we presumed would open up and have better fortunes once we were out and about again. And largely, I think AMC falls into that category, along with the airlines, along with other things. GameStop is another story altogether. There's no real way to look at that and explain it from a fundamental perspective. It's more in a camp of, is it being manipulated to...
Oh, it's being manipulated. It's the free market. People saw an opportunity and people got together on a social media forum and said, let's go in. Let's go in on this stock. Manipulated. Though it's manipulated because it's average people.
For lack of a better word.
Well, lack of a better word. How about free markets? How about these people took the opportunity and saw an opportunity and jumped on it? So that's how the mainstream media is spinning this afternoon. It's hilarious to watch. The drama, I just want to see, right now, of course, the Biden administration is saying that they have not weighed in on this yet. See, the latest on this is Biden's team is monitoring the situation around GameStop. Great. Love to know what that monitoring of that situation is. Meanwhile, we have some stimulus news tonight I want to get to. And the Federal Reserve speaking out just a few minutes ago, Federal Reserve Chief Jerome Powell speaking for the first time since Janet Yellen has been sworn in as Treasury Secretary. And so what do the Board of Governors, the Federal Reserve, see for the market going forward? What do they see for this economy over the next few months and the next year? What do they see for stimulus on their side, and what does Congress need to do? Keep adding a plural there, and it's not good. Jerome Powell's outlook for the economy is not rosy, and more trouble on the horizon. Obviously, vaccine distribution is a huge piece of this, getting vaccines out to the American people, which has been a terrible mess that the Trump administration left for Team Biden. Especially not even being able to share that information, like how many stockpiles did you have throughout the country? We wouldn't share it with the Bidens. We're just going to be petulant little children. And so then they had to get in there and find out actually what was available and realize, oh my God, these guys screwed us. And now they have to ramp up this distribution, being calls to try to get 1.5 million doses a day. It's an absolute disaster. Here is Fed Chief Jerome Powell speaking just a few minutes ago and answering questions on what sort of stimulus Congress needs to employ. He also answers some questions on the interest rates. Let's listen in to this press conference from just a few minutes ago on the economy.
And that's really a key reason why the recovery has been as strong as it's been. Fiscal policy has been absolutely essential. When we look back on the history of this period, we'll see a strong and sustained fiscal policy response. I would add that we're, as I mentioned, a long way from a full recovery. Something like 9 million people remain unemployed as a consequence of the pandemic. That's as many people as lost their jobs at the peak of the global financial crisis and the Great Recession. Many small businesses are under pressure, and there are other needs to be addressed. And the path ahead is still pretty uncertain. So all of that said, the judgment on how much to spend and in what way is really one for Congress and the administration and not for the Fed. And these discussions are going on right now. So there's a discussion, as you know, right now around.
Yeah, and I would love for you just to stick your neck out there, Jerome, and just say, you know what, we need to go big. You've said it before, just say it now. We need stimulus. We need massive stimulus. Just say it.
Around those precise questions, and that's appropriate, but not for us to play a role in talking about specific policies.
So I can't get specific. Fine, we'll take another question.
Thank you. Steve Leisman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I wonder if I could follow up on Gina's question here. I understand that you do address issues of valuations through macroprudential policies in the first instance, but there's a range of assets, and I know you do watch a range of assets, but from Bitcoin to corporate bonds to the stock market in general, to some of these more specific meteoric rises in stocks like GameStop, how do you address the concern that super easy monetary policy, asset purchase and zero...
It's GameStop. I love these guys who are out of touch. I'm sorry, go on.
Interest rates are potentially fueling a bubble that could cause economic fallout should it burst.
Let me provide a little context. The shock from the pandemic was unprecedented, both in its nature and in its size, and in the amount of unemployment that it created, and in the shock to economic activity. There's nothing close to it in our modern economic history. So our response was really to that, and we've done what we could first to restore market function and to provide a bit of relief, then to support the recovery, and hopefully we'll be able to do the third thing, which is to avoid longer run damage to the economy. Our role assigned by Congress is maximum employment and stable prices, and also look after financial stability. So in a world where almost a year later we're still 9 million jobs at least, that's one way of counting. It can actually be counted much higher than that, short of maximum employment. And people are out of the labor force who were in the labor force. The real unemployment rate is close to 10% if you include people that's the labor force. It's very much appropriate that monetary policy be highly accommodative to support maximum employment and price stability, which is getting inflation back to 2% and averaging 2% over time.
So money that gets into the hands to get people back to work, that supports and sustains people through a pandemic. This is not rocket science. He has been speaking these terms for a long time now. This is not new. We've heard this time and time again from him. And there's a lot of cognitive dissonance in Congress among Republicans who don't think that we need to have a price tag that's in line with what we've been spending on Wall Street. It's okay for us to spend $4 trillion on Wall Street at the hands of the Federal Reserve. But when it comes to the American people and small businesses and keeping people out of poverty and getting people back to work, there's all this hemming and hawing about it. But you heard it here again from Jerome Powell. We need to go big on this. There's no, he made a point at the very beginning, which is there is no doubt that when we look back on this period, because we had strong monetary policy, because we've been able to infuse money into the economy to help people, it saved us until it didn't, until we pulled back on it throughout the summer. And 8 million people slipped into poverty. Sorry to interrupt you. Go on, Jerome.
So on matters of financial stability, we have a framework. We don't look at one thing or two things. We look, and we made that framework public after the financial crisis so that it could be criticized and understood and we could be held accountable. And, you know, the things that we look at are we do look at asset prices. We also look at leverage in the banking system. We look at leverage in the non-banking system, which is to say corporates and households. And we look at also funding risk. And if you look at it across that range of readings, they're each different, but we monitor them carefully. And I would say that financial stability vulnerabilities overall are moderate. Our overall goal is to assure that the financial system itself is resilient to shocks of all kinds, that it's strong and resilient, and that includes not just the banks, but money market funds and all different kinds of non-bank financial structures as well. So when we get to the non-financial sector, we don't have jurisdiction over that. But so I would just say that there are many things that go in, as you know, to setting asset prices. So if you look at what's really been driving asset prices really in the last couple of months, it isn't monetary policy. It's been expectations about vaccines, and it's also fiscal policy. Those are the news items that have been driving asset values in recent months. So I know that monetary policy does play a role there, but that's how we look at it. And I think I think that the connection between low interest rates and asset values is probably something that's not as tight as people think, because a lot of different factors are driving asset prices at any given time.
In other words, that's a lot of mumbo jumbo, and talk is cheap, and we want to see action. And he wants to dance around the question as to how much Congress should spend. But we know from multiple times that he's spoken that they need to go big. They need to go big and broad on this topic. And this isn't the first time that he said it. But again, he's dancing around it, saying, I can't speak on behalf of Congress. I can't speak on behalf of that issue right now because, that's what Congress needs to decide. There's a lot of talk about it right now. Congress needs to come up with that price tag. Congress needs to do it, et cetera, et cetera. So that's where we are on that. We're waiting for the framework from Nancy Pelosi to be able to hit the House floor and then to go over the Senate, for them to start work on this reconciliation process outside of Republicans to get a stimulus package to the American people. We're hoping that will happen in the next few days. So we're keeping our eye on that. I'm hoping that Republicans will heed this warning from Jerome Powell that this economy is in trouble and that we are in this economic downturn, and that it's not fallen equally on all Americans, as he said. He said there are certain sectors, of course, that have been hardest hit in all of this. He said that this economy is a long way from our monetary policy and inflationary goals. and it's likely to take some time for substantial further progress to be achieved. He said that policy will remain highly accommodative as to the recovery process. Basically, we're going to keep these interest rates historically low. We're going to continue to buy up all of these crap bonds from Wall Street. We're going to continue as much as we can to keep swallowing up all of these corporate junk bonds that no one wants to touch, all of these mortgage-backed securities that no one wants to touch. And God knows, maybe now that Wall Street wants to be bailed out because of their short positions in GameStop, that Wall Street will step in and want to pick those up as well. You know, maybe Melvin Capital is going to want to step in and get some bailout money. They're going to want to step in now because they made these short sale positions available. Yeah, should we help them? Should we step in and help these guys? I love just the audacity. I love the audacity of these guys. So you guys short sell a company 136%, and then you want us to step in. You want us to step in and bail you out. And the American people continue to get screwed over. On and on. Well, we got another story I'm following for you tonight. In addition to what the Federal Reserve is saying, we're going to hold this policy steady as the economy stumbles. It's a tall order for President Biden right now. Make no mistake about it. It really is. So one story I wanted to give you before we wrap up tonight is on this UFO front. And so a big story out of North Carolina tonight, as a three-pronged UFO has the Charlotte Observer and people all over Charlotte, North Carolina, along the Indian Trail community in Union County, wondering what in the world is going on. This thing has been spotted, a UFO, no sound at all. They flickered like lanterns, but they held the exact same path until they disappeared, straight up in the air together. All over, people saw these things. People said, when my initial thought was when I saw the lights, it was helicopters in the distance. But as they got closer, there was no sound at all. And then they went straight up into the sky. They shot straight up into the sky and disappeared. They were not lanterns. Someone said, I couldn't see anything around them. I couldn't see anything like a lantern would look like. The trio of lights that glowed blue also showed up in photos that were posted on Alyssa Homewood's Facebook page. She lives in Monroe, has no explanation for what they are. She says, I took the pictures in the night sky. It did not look blue. It looked like a group of bright lights. I thought it was odd. A few people also saw, they witnessed the same thing, this group of bluish lights. Others say it could have been flares or drones or a SpaceX rocket. But no one has come forward to say that that's what they were. There was no SpaceX rocket being launched. The Mutual UFO Network reported this month that the state had 15 UFO sightings in December. It was ranking number 7 among the 50 states. What do you guys think it is? So the most recent exercises were on December 18th. So there's been no Warfare Center exercises. U.S. Army John F. Kennedy Special Warfare Center says, yeah, we haven't done anything since December 18th. And then shortly thereafter, there were a number of military helicopters that flew by, maybe looking for what it was. This, of course, comes on the heels of what we're waiting for from the federal government to release those UFO files. That's right. So they have 180 days since the passing of the stimulus package. It was one of the things that was included in the stimulus package is that the CIA and other government agencies need to release these UFO documents that they have based on the secret UFO program that they've been conducting. What sort of materials have they been holding? I have spoken to sources who worked in the government who have told me that they are holding materials that they are crash materials that the U.S. government has. They have now been made public. This has been, of course, all over the media. Luis Elizondo, who worked at the Department of Defense, has come forward with this information. Senator Harry Reid, the former Senate Majority Leader, has come forward with this information talking about this secret program. Senator Marco Rubio has asked for an investigation and wants these documents released. So last week, about a week and a half ago, they did release a huge tranche of documents. and a lot of them account for different sightings. So I'm hoping that we'll get more of these. We're going to see a lot more of these documents coming forward from the federal government in the next few weeks and few months. I'm excited about that. So what do you guys think this is? Down in Charlotte, North Carolina, did anybody see this while you guys were down there? If you guys live down in there in that region, in Union County, near Charlotte. But this is all over Charlotte Observer tonight. People who witnessed this, who were out in the night sky, saw these 3 lights that shot straight up into the sky, hovered, no sound at all, and moved like no earthly craft could. They said it was triangular shaped. It moved slowly, had 0 sound, hovered, and then shot off into outer space. Cheryl Hughes says, you saw that in Utah? Wow. Yeah, of course. In a universe this, someone's saying, of course, in a universe this big, there's no way we're the only ones. Of course not. And by the way, if we were it, like you're looking at the highest form of life in the universe, we're in deep shit. Right? Like this is it. Man. From what I understand from my sources on this, we're like at the bottom of this food chain. Yeah. We've barely been able to enter into the circles of having discussions with these other planetary beings. And that is according to sources that I've spoken to who've worked inside the government. Former governors who've witnessed things that would blow your socks off. So, hey, I have another channel, by the way. If you're interested in this kind of stuff, I have a UFO paranormal channel. It's called youtube.com/paranormalpost. Let me pull it up here for you. If you guys are interested, I cover stories like this. Unexplained stories. Things that the government doesn't want you to know about. When I was a reporter and a news anchor, I would interview pilots, members of the Air Force, members of the military, generals who I would interview and talk to, who told me things that would blow your mind. But they were afraid to come forward because of ridicule within the ranks. But now many of them are starting to come forward. So if you're interested, come on over to youtube.com/paranormalpost. We're publishing, our goal is to have 3 videos per week on this channel. So we've been hitting about 2 per week right now. We're really working hard on it. We have this story here. What this terrifying UFO did. You guys got to check out that story as well. If you're interested in these mysteries and unexplained stories, come check it out. I'd love to hear your feedback on it. Drop me a comment if you get a chance to check any of these videos out. Roseanne Bryle says, in Sutton, Vermont, my family was out skiing and we saw UFOs. I'd love to hear more about it. Addie says, more paranormal posts, please. I know I'm working on it. But we had the election, then we have impeachment, then we have stimulus. So I've been juggling a lot of different balls. But one of my big passions is unexplained and paranormal. So yes, ultimately fascinated by that. And when I have people that, the sources that I get to talk to on these subjects that I'm not allowed to speak openly about, cannot, of course, reveal who they are, stuff would blow your mind. And the pictures that I've seen would absolutely floor you. Some of that I'm going to release on the channel very, very soon. So I hope you'll come check it out. All right, much love to all of you. Thank you for this sort of brief interlude tonight. I wanted to talk a lot more about this GameStop story. There was not a ton of news on the stimulus front other than what we heard tonight from the Federal Reserve, other than the stock market dropping 600 points tonight. We had a little bit of a status quo in what's going on with there. So wanted to bring this story to you because I've been passionate about it. So thank you so much for indulging me tonight. Thank you for smashing that like button if I brought you any value at all. Please smash the like button and subscribe to the channel. We do our show every morning at 9 a.m. Eastern time. So join us tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. Eastern time. We're going to go deeper into how likely we will see a stimulus in the next few weeks, what that will look like for you. Will Joe Biden cave on some of these points, and will progressives fight back? There's a growing push tonight from progressives. We'll talk about that tomorrow morning on the show as well. So thanks, everyone. We will see you bright and early at 9 a.m. Eastern Time. Thanks so much.